Did I fix the problem, folks? Did I fix the problem? Oh. Ah, good. So you can see me. So I'll tell you what. I might edit what gets recorded. I'm just going to start over. Hi. I hope everybody's having a great Friday. Centerline. The centerline. One, it is the vitals. Eyes, nose, mouth, throat, sternum, solar plexus, dantian groin. The mother line extends down through the crown, out the coccyx, to the ground. The mother line is where we pivot. The center line is stuff that we want to protect, but also our strength going forward. I have less strength this way. Tell the students, push the car. They do this. Very good, strong, stable stance with their hands in front of their central, I call it the central plane. They don't push the car like this. They don't push the car like this. They don't try to push the car sideways. They go this way. It sort of makes the idea clear that that's where you're strongest. You're strongest along your central plane. People argue, or I've seen people believe that the center, when two center planes line up, that is the center line. That is what people call the center line. That you've got a face-to-face, nose-to-nose with your opponent. But the goal is really to line my mother line up through my center plane to my opponent's mother line, while their center plane is off, is not on me. That is, if you were me, you want me turned sideways while you're lined up on me. You've got both guns to work on me, but my strength is off you. That should be the goal. And I think that misconception happens because of Chi-Sao. Everybody Chi-Saos. And you can only Chi-Sao if you're lined up center plane to center plane. That's the only way you can Chi-Sao. As soon as somebody creates an angle, Chi-Sao breaks, somebody gets the hit or whatever, and if you're playing for points or whatever, you have to then stop and restart. But you take a look at the Mukyang Jong, you do the same thing with the Mukyang Jong. The center of the post is the mother line for the Mukyang Jong. You orbit around that center, around the mother line, keeping your center plane on the Mukyang Jong's mother line, trying to, in many cases, trying to get out of the way of the Mukyang Jong's arms. You're trying to get off of the Mukyang Jong's center plane. So that's one misconception. A lot of people, especially people who only dabble in Wing Chun, and then they hear about this Centerline Theory, believe that all Wing Chunners fight from the Jingma straight nose to nose. No. And anybody who's trying to fight that way, it's a serious mistake. It's always about creating angles. Another misconception that I have is, or that I see a lot, or I perceive it, is that like centerline is the only, it's the only thing. It's the only thing. That is the only theory and formula that Wing Chun uses. Everything is about centerline, 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 and that it should never be broken. Which that's another misconception, is that you should never break it. I'll get back to that. But that there's only centerline theory. However, I'm going to turn this on, and hopefully you can you see? Tell me, can you see that card? which lists various techniques. And if you can't, maybe I'll do this. Ah, now you should be able to see that card. How about that? This is just a quick list of the different theories and approaches that Wing Chun actually uses. I'll notice that you can't see all of it. Let me see if I can fix that. I'll figure that out in a minute. But right off the top, I'm always talking about the Chun Kuit. And the Chun Kuit is kind of an umbrella idea of the fight philosophy. But then, yeah, you've got your centerline theory, you've got your mother line. You have central lines, which does not get talked about very often, but is extremely important, especially if you're creating angles. And we define those in every single form. When you do the opening of Silam Tao, you are defining your central lines. You've got in Wing Chun, you've got triangle concept. You've got use of spirals or spiral theory, circle theory, deflecting angles, 135, the four corners, the three gates, the three levels, the straight line, face to face. Some people call it, but that's the idea of focusing your center plane on the opponent's mother line, but you're creating angles. Immovable elbow, bridge hand, trapping, economy of motion, Linsil Daidar or Linsil Da, however you want to say it. We've got a host of theories, a host of things that we use. It's not just centerline, and some connect together and some don't. Actually, in the course of even a very short bout, you should be using most of those things, if not all of them. There's a few that I could understand you might not use. You might not use the three levels unless you're going into takedowns or something like that. But always straight line. You might not use immovable elbow unless you're in grips or something like that. You could change names. You could give them all different nomenclature. But that's not all that there is that governs Wing Chun. We also have 8 energies. Let me put that up. So you got the 8 energies. Kenging, or listening, sensitivity. Jinging, drilling, direct power, indirect power, or angling. Right? Guiding power, rolling off. Connecting power, continuous chain punch, that kind of thing. Aggressive power, and inch power, short strike. So that is a misconception about centerline theory, is that many people think that that is all there is, that it is the only thing, and they get so super focused on it. And then they have that original misconception that centerline is only nose to nose. And I know a couple of my students have done this, and I have to keep drilling into them. They're always trying to figure out how to get back. Like, if an angle has been created, they're trying to figure out how to get back nose to nose. And I'm trying to emphasize, no, you don't necessarily want to get back nose to nose. You are much better off your nose pointing at the opponent's ear, right? Or the back of his head. I mean, really, seriously, if you want to really take care of them, yeah, get behind them. So those are kind of the major misconceptions, that it is the only theory, that it is only nose to nose, and that you're always trying to get back to it. And all of those are wrong. I also think, again, a misconception that people confuse the mother line with the center line. I also believe or feel and have seen that people get so centerline concerned that they forget the central lines. These lines that we define when we start Silam Tao, when we start Chun, when we start Build Z form. We're defining our reach, our strike points, and our angles. The center plane being defined by my wrists to my mother line. People get so worried about this plane that they forget these angles. And the angles are going to do you the best. Request to recall to the start at the end. I'm at this point. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, go for it. I will try to watch the chat more closely now, because I think I've kind of spilled most of my beans on centerline misconceptions. And please forgive me if I'm a little slow. One, the technology is still taking me time to learn. Two, I'm trying to cheat the chat window. OBS Studio has a chat system built into it, but it seems to be a little slow, or it doesn't necessarily scroll all the way to the bottom. 8 energies explain. All right. Let me see if I can put the 8 energies up with me at the same time. I won't be able to point to them. I know that. I'll tell you what. I'll put them up for a minute, and I'll do them verbally, and then I'll put the card up. Okay. Kengeng, or listening. I mean, that's sensitivity. That's what you do. That's why you do Chi Sao. It's listening to what the opponent is going to do, not this kind of listening, this kind of listening. Although I would argue early in a fight there's a standoff, and your listening should begin right then, with your eyes, your ears, your gut. When in contact, you listen for, you use sensitivity, you listen for movement. Jengeng, drilling energy. Piercing energy. I can elbow, or I can pierce. I can drill. And please forgive my pronunciation. I am a northerner who moved to the south, is very young, and of course these terms come from Chinese. Oh God, I'll never get the pronunciations quite right. Jek, or direct power, and that's just as it sounds, direct power. We would, in terms of theories, that would be straight line. Just a hard hit, straight down the line, straight in front of you. Direct power. Indirect power, or angling, and that's what I'm talking about. That is mostly what you want to do, is create angles. Do not confuse, this is gang, gip, gang. Do not confuse in that kind of indirect power or energy with a hook. Okay? It's not this kind of angle, it's getting an angle on the opponent. Gang, or Dai Gang, guiding power. This, I refer to it as rolling off. If anybody's done Tai Chi and done like push hands, you're rolling the power off. You're rolling, maybe absorbing a little, but That's guiding power. I'm guiding whatever force I'm receiving. In Wing Chun, generally speaking, we don't want to receive force. We want to guide it away, guide it off, deflecting. Lip Gang, connecting power or continuous power, is like a chain punch. The easiest way to think of it is chain punch, or Lin Wei Choi. Non-stop aggression is a good way to think of it. That, especially like with Master Fong videos, virtually anybody who puts out a video where the hands are fast, that's Lip Gang, connecting power. Hit, 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 hit. Okay. Aggressive power is, Chang Gang is aggressive power. Yeah, that's just having intent. That's the way I look at it, is having intent and being very pushy. Pushing in, pushing through, pushing your opponent back. When I spar, I tend to have a lot of that without even touching people. I like to advance. I'm constantly inching forward and directing them around the ring where I want them to go, because I'm giving them no choice. But it is also just having a directly physical pushing aggressiveness. Warding off. Yeah, when we go back to the Yig Gang or Dai Gang, warding off, that would be a good term. And last is Chun Gang, or inch power or short power. I kind of take issue with the inch punch. I mean, I've got a 1-inch punch, but I think students, when they hear that, they get really focused on developing this 3-inch or 1-inch punch itself, and it's not. It's short power. It's non-wound up power. It could be 6 inches. It could be a foot. It's where I am, and being able to develop force from that position, not an old karate below black belt. They're going to go reverse punch. They're going to go back to the hip in order to punch forward. Wing Chun, most Kung Fus, we don't want to do that. We punch from where we are, learning to develop that short power, which goes back to pushing the car. Short power almost always comes from a lowered elbow. You can sort of get, when you get it, when you understand it, you can kind of do it with elbow in weird places. But at first, if you want to get it, it's got to come from the lowered elbow. Yeah. Well, chi power, follow one of the list above. I'd almost argue that you would use chi in all of them, to tell you the honest truth. Which is pushing, that would be aggressive. That'd be Chun Gang. Aggressive power. Just raw pushing. Raw aggressive power. I would argue that your chi is involved in every single one of these. All 8 of them. All 8 energies. If your chi is not involved, say you wouldn't listen, you're just not going to hear it as well. Are you still seeing the list? I don't think you guys see the list anyway. So, are there any other questions? Of course, it looks like I've only got one person. I don't know how many people I've got watching. It looks like I've only got one chatting right now, and I thank them for that. Oh, definitely the internet is different. There's a lot of weirdness that goes on the internet. Yeah, yeah. One is relaxed, which anybody who's watched me and watched my videos knows that I'm really big on that. That that is the main driver from my perspective, and I think part of that comes out of age. To be honest, being relaxed, executing these things while relaxed, is I think that comes out of age. When we're in our 20s and 30s and even 40s and even for me early 50s, yeah, it was puff yourself up and drop all the energy and but you get older, you can't keep doing that. I mean, you can turn it on for a moment, but you're better off if you don't have to turn it on all the time. Yep, yep, yeah. Internet live. Okay. So anyway, I kind of messed that up at the beginning by not understanding. You guys can't see what I see, but I've got three, in essence, two screens, but three viewing ports. And I didn't realize that that was the one that's live. This is the one that's kind of pre-queue, and this was the one I actually wanted to show you. And I didn't realize I had it stuck. But now I know. Hey. And we got through that one. And I might edit this live broadcast for future views to the point where I'm actually visible. This is the fourth Friday's Foo. And I'm recognizing that 3 in the afternoon is apparently a difficult time. But I also have other scheduling considerations of my own. I'm thinking maybe 6 or 7 Eastern time on Friday. I know PKED9, Fresno, that you guys would like it even later, because I mean even 7 my time is still like 4 your time. So you'd probably like it even later, but I've got classes on Saturday morning, and I can't. I have a set thing that I do for myself pretty much from about 8 to 10, almost 11 my time. So I don't want to do it much later. So I'm going to think about it, keep an eye on the channel, keep an eye on my Facebook pages or whatever. I'm probably going to shift to a bit later. I don't know how much later. I don't know whether it's 6 or 7. Right now I'm also, 6 is kind of tight because I'm giving private lessons at the school at 5:30, which is 10 miles downtown. And that means trying to get back through 10 miles of rush hour traffic. So 7 is probably the earliest I could do, and that would leave me like almost zero. I would have to have everything set and ready to go, at least until those privates are done. It's all fun. Yes, 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes. Well, then that's what I'm normally shooting for most of these Friday Foos, around 30 minutes. 15 minutes even. People don't have enough time. People don't have a lot of time to watch stuff. They like things nice and short. So anyway, there you go. Discussion on misconception. My thoughts on misconceptions of Centerline. And I hope you all have a great day and keep on training.